Thank you, Gordo, and thank you, Michael, for a beautiful morning. So, story. We had an extraordinary story last night from a master storyteller. I've listened to a lot of storytellers over the years, over 30, 40 years now. All over the country I've listened to stories, and I was impressed again last night at what a master we have here in Hari. You might want to give him another hand. That was fabulous. One sign of a master storyteller is that the storyteller doesn't really care about himself. He cares about the story. And so when I complimented Hari this morning, he immediately said, yeah, that's a powerful story, and I like to let the story come through me. So we have another powerful story for you today. This is an old story, and as you all know, stories are more than stories. They're more than entertainment. They're more than narrative. They work in a deep way on our psyches. And as Hari said yesterday, we mean business here. This is an opportunity this weekend for transformation. Men's work is always an opportunity for transformation. Sometimes it's little transformations, little shifts, little understandings, little insights. Other times it's big. Other times you go away and you're different. Something is really shifted inside of you. There's really healing taking place. This is a powerful story. Some of you know it. It's called Iron John. It's a story that really founded the whole men's movement. Robert Bly wrote a whole book about this story. And it's used to illuminate the different archetypes that are active within us as men. It has many of the major archetypes in it that are active within us as men. And as we come into wellness, as we come into fullness, as we come into our whole manhood, we find those archetypes active and healthy and vibrant and available to us. Oftentimes our pains and our real wounds come when some of those energies are very repressed or underdeveloped. And as we come into fullness, we learn to draw on all the archetypes. So that's what we're going to do this morning. And this kind of storytelling we'll do this morning is different. Tomorrow and the next day, we continue the story. We have the first part of it this morning, but then tomorrow, actually, there's 2 sessions, and we'll finish the story. And the storytelling tomorrow will be more like this. We'll be sitting and we'll be talking, and you can watch us. But for this first section, I'd like to invite you to go into your inner world of imagination, to really see all of the images and the characters in a powerful way. And not only see them, not only imagine them, but actually give you the opportunity to embody them, to move with the energies of these characters and powers that are moving through this story, to act them out as you feel to. I've learned over the years that some men really have a powerful visualization ability, and just simply standing still and visualizing is enough. Others are much more kinesthetic, and they really want to move. So I invite you to do whatever feels most comfortable to you. But the principle is, the more you give to the story, the more you'll get out of the story. I'll say that again. The more you give to the story, the more you'll get out of it. So please now, we're going to completely destroy these nice orderly rows that you've made so nicely. And we're going to fill this space. Find, as Gordo was saying, a place where you have your own space around you. It doesn't have to be a big space, but enough where you can move a little bit. You're not going to have to, not going to have to walk, but you'll be in one position, and you'll want a place where you can have enough space to move if you want to. Yeah, great. So let's close your eyes. Just take a couple of deep breaths. Let feel yourself solidly in your chair with your feet on the ground. If you're standing, put one foot in front of the other, a little ahead with your feet separated to a nice firm pose, which feels relaxed, but balanced and solid. And from this pose, you can easily move and let the energies of the story, the energies of the characters, and the movements and the presences embody your physical body, your feelings, so that you can move easily in and out of the characters. In this pose, you can feel the life force moving through your body. Breathe into that again. Just feel that beautiful life force moving through you. Once there was a king who would stand in his tower and look out across his realm. He saw the fields filled with his people, working happily, content, grateful for the abundance of the crops, all the growing things, grateful for the wisdom and the goodness of the king, grateful for the beauty of their lives. He saw the villages and the towns filled with people going about their business, all in harmony. There was a forest that stretched away, and one day the king asked one of his huntsmen to enter the forest, to bring back a roe for the royal table. And so the huntsman went into the forest. But he did not return.
I don't know. I can't imagine what has happened to him. Perhaps some terrible accident has befallen him.
Thought the king to himself. And so he called 2 more huntsmen, these known for their courage and their cunning. And he sent them into the forest to look for the one who had vanished.
Scour the woods. Scour it thoroughly. Search everywhere.
But they too did not return. And so the king called all the rest of his huntsmen, and he said to them,
Search everywhere. I want all those men returned safely. They are subjects of this kingdom, and I want them back in their homes.
And so the men went into the forest. At first, they walked together through the shadows, which got deeper and darker as they came into the center of the forest. And then they spread out and looked through the forest. A day went by, and they did not return. A second day passed, and still they did not return. A third day passed, and when a week had passed, the king began to despair. And when a month had passed, the entire realm was plunged into sorrow. For of all the men who went out into the forest, not one returned. And as for the hounds that went out with them, they too were never seen again. And a shadow fell upon the entire realm, the entire kingdom. And from that day forth, no one ever ventured into the forest, either alone or with others, for fear that they would never return. And the forest lay there in deep silence and solitude, and nothing of it was known, except for perhaps a hawk or an eagle now and then soaring high above the trees. This went on for some long time, for years, until one day, the king, standing in his tower, looked out again across his realm, and there in the distance, he saw a huntsman, a strange huntsman he didn't recognize, galloping on his horse toward the castle. Be the king now, looking out from your tower. See this huntsman approaching. He looked, wow, there was something about him, something in his presence, in the way he rode upon the horse, the power of the horse. Something that clearly said this was no ordinary huntsman, perhaps an adventurer. And a spark of excitement ignited inside the king. A thrill of possibility. He felt as if he was recalling something that he'd forgotten in himself. Something that he'd forgotten in himself, but now he realized was still alive within him. And now be the adventurer. Feel your young, youthful, strong body galloping on the powerful horse. Feel its muscles surging beneath you as you gallop towards the castle. And you see the castle is magnificent, but you feel excitement, and you feel strong and courageous, and you feel that, well, there's a sense that a great adventure is at hand. And you come to the castle, you swing down off the horse, you stride up to the gates, and you say, "Is there anything dangerous around here that needs doing?" Say that. I've come to see the king. Well, the great doors swung open. The guards escorted him into the castle and brought him before the king. And he bowed low before the king. And then he stood tall and proud. And again he said, "Is there anything dangerous around here that needs doing?"
Yes. As a matter of fact, there is. There is. Many men for a long, long time now have gone into that forest, but none have returned. I would love to have them back here, or at least know what happened to them.
That sounds like exactly what I'm looking for. Say that.
And so, this adventurer took off, accompanied by his dog, into the deep, dark forest. And as soon as they were in the forest, the dog got a scent of something and went running off. Then he saw an animal and he chased it and chased it until he came to the edge of a pool of water, deep, dark pool of water. And as the dog was standing by the water, not knowing what further to do, he sniffed, and suddenly out of the water emerged a hand, grabbed onto the dog, and pulled him under the water. The adventurer, this huntsman, was astonished.
Oh no! Oh no!
He ran back to the palace and told the king what had happened, and he asked for buckets that he could go and some men to go with him to bail out the water.
I'll go.
Good, come with me. We will bail out the water from the pool. And so they went. And bucket by bucket, they bailed it out. And there, lying at the bottom of this murky water,
Was a wild man.
a wild man. My goodness.
His skin was the color of rusty iron. His hair hung down over his face, down to his belly. He looked up at them. You and the men, close your eyes. You and the men, go down into the bottom of the pool. You grab the wild man, you grasp him, you hold him tight, and you begin to chain him up, wrapping him around in chains. Wrapping him in chains. Be the wild man now. In your imagination, feel yourself as the wild man, being wrapped up in chains. Your ancient aboriginal power wrapped up in chains. Your freedom, your ancient freedom being wrapped up in chains. You struggle and struggle. You struggle, but the chains are too strong. Your opponents are too many. You struggle, but you can't get free. You can't get loose. You're wrapped up in chains. And now the men pull you up out of the pond and through the forest, between the trees, over logs, over briars, through bogs. They half lead you, half drag you through the forest until you come to the edge of the forest.
There, coming back to the palace, the king, seeing what they had captive, had an iron cage, and he had the wild man put in the iron cage, and he threatened, under pain of death, no one, I say, under pain of death, is allowed to open the door to that cage. And so there the wild man sat, day after day, week after week, month after month, and the world went on around him.
People came by, they laughed at him, they scorned, they jeered, but after some while they just forgot him, and he was left there alone in the cage.
The key to the cage, the king gave to the queen to keep in her keeping.
One day, the king's son, a boy of 8 years old, was out playing in the courtyard with his golden ball. Close your eyes. Feel yourself as that boy of 8 years old playing with your ball. Oh, what joy. Whee! You throw the ball high in the air. Whee! You throw it higher still. Woo! Whee! And now you throw it as high as you can into the air. Oh! Oh! It falls down into the cage of the wild man. Oh no! Oh no! And you run up to the cage of the wild man. You say, wild man, give me my ball back.
No, no, said the wild man. I will not give you your ball back unless you open the door to this cage.
No, I can't do that. The king has forbidden it. I will be punished. And the boy ran away in fear. But the next day, which might have been a long time later, the next day the boy was longing for his golden ball. And so he approached the cage of the wild man again. Wild man, please, give me back my golden ball.
No, repeated the wild man. I have already told you I will not give you your ball back. And I'm a man of word. I will not give you your ball back unless you open the door to this cage.
No, no, I cannot. And the boy went running away again, more afraid than ever. But the next day, which might have been many years later, the boy returned to the cage. And he said, Wild man, even if I wanted to, I can't open your cage because I don't know where the key is.
The wild man said, the key to this cage is under your mother's pillow. Seek it there.
Under
Seek
your
it
mother's
there.
pillow. Under your mother's pillow.
Under your mother's pillow.
Oh, no. So, the next day, the king and the queen rode out of the castle together, hunting. And the boy thought, under my mother's pillow. And so he cast all caution and fear to the wind, and he tiptoed up the stairs and into the royal chamber. And with his heart pounding and his breath barely breathing, he approached the royal bed and he slid his hand underneath the pillow. And there it was. He touched the key. It was cold and heavy. He pulled it out and held it in his hand. Feel its weight and coldness in your hand as you look down at it. And now he closed his hand around it and he ran down the stairs as quickly as he could to get out of the castle. And he ran to the cage of the wild man. And he took the key and he put it into the rusty lock. And he turned the key, but it wouldn't turn. He turned harder and it still wouldn't turn. He struggled and turned and struggled, but it still wouldn't turn. He tried with all of his might to turn it, and he slipped, his hand slipped, and it cut his hand, and blood from the wound dripped down into the lock. And as if that's what was needed, the lock opened and fell away. And the boy grabbed the bars and tugged at them, and the wild man on the inside pushed on the door and stepped out into the day. Be the wild man now. Look beyond the courtyard, beyond the castle. See the forest in the distance. Your home, your wildness, your aboriginal power. There it is, the forest in front of you. You begin to run away, but the boy was afraid and called out, Wild man, don't go away, don't leave me. I will be punished, I will be beaten. The wild man stopped. He came back. He reached into the cage, true to his word, lifted up the golden ball and handed it to the boy. And then he put his hands under the shoulders of the boy and lifted him up onto his shoulders. Feel yourself now being lifted up onto the shoulders of the wild man. And now together, with strong strides, you run towards the forest. Feel yourself riding on the shoulders of the wild man, running across the fields towards the forest, away from everything you have known, away from your home and your parents, away from everything that's familiar, to a life that you can only imagine.
Now, the king and the queen returned home. And the king saw that the iron cage was empty. What has happened? What has happened? He asked the queen. And she said, I know not. I was with you. And she went upstairs to look under her pillow, but the key was not there. Alas, they had feared that something terrible, the worst thing might have happened, that the wild man might have killed their son. Oh, they looked everywhere. The king had men go out into the fields and search, but no sight of the boy or the wild man was seen. And so a great grief, a sadness, and a sorrow descended upon the kingdom.
And just close your eyes now. We'll leave the story there. Close your eyes and remember back to the story. Remember the parts of the story that particularly rang inside of you. Any images that were powerful or resonated. Just take a moment to feel into those images again. Thank you. All right. All right. You can open your eyes. Gordon, are you somewhere? There he is. So what were some of the images that felt powerful for you? First off, did you enjoy that kind of experience, dropping into it? Yeah? Yeah, good. Yes.